Good day, people of God. This again is Pastor Bolton from Full Gospel House of Prayer Ministries in Elizabethtown, North Carolina. I want to continue our series that we were talking about going into a new year, a new way. Today, Siri, I want to talk about focus. The first challenge was to give love. For the rest of the year, give love. Though there are just a few days left in 2023, let's go in giving and showing and being the one that is giving love out for the rest of the year. For the Bible says that love covers a multitude of sins. Our next challenge was to change your perspective, change how you think on things, change how you look at things, so that if we remove what is negative or change our thinking from the negative things that happen into the positive things that happen, I believe and I'm telling you that we are more apt to see what God will do and is doing in our lives. So this challenge I want to give you is the challenge of intentionally focusing on what you want God to do in your life. The Bible says in Hebrews chapter 12, verses 1 and 2, it says, "Wherefore, seeing we are also compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin that does so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of God." What does this have to do with focus? It tells us that in life, when we find ourselves in different situations and circumstances that we find difficult, that we ought to take time to look to Jesus, to focus on Jesus and what he went through. Now, I grew up in old school church and they told us, baby, Jesus didn't do anything wrong. So what makes you think you're going to leave here unscathed? But here it tells us that he is the author and finisher of our faith. He's the one that started it. He's the one that lived it. He became our example, and we ought to intentionally focus on Jesus. With so many problems in the world and so many things that can grab our attention, so many distractions and so many sparkly things that's out there, let us understand that we ought to focus on Jesus. I don't believe there's nothing wrong with having things as long as things don't have us. But we ought to focus on Jesus, be intentional in our focus. And one way to be intentional in our focus is to focus in our prayer. Sometimes our prayers are just these general prayers. Lord, bless whoever. Lord, save whoever. Lord, and we're just general. But if we take time to give some time to focus in our prayer, Ephesians 6 and 18 says, praying with always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for the saints, with all prayer, with patience. Prayer is not something that we rush through. Prayer is not something that we want to get over with. We ought to take time to pray. And while we're taking time to pray, let us focus, intentionally focus on what we want God to do, to listen to our prayers. Because I know I'm a living witness that he is a prayer answering God. He hears our prayers and he answers our prayers. If we take time to just focus, yes, leave room for him. Do not put God in a box when we pray and just limit him to what he can do, for he has all power and all might. But if we are going to be specific in our prayers, we ought to focus on it. What do you mean? Well, I, for one, am the type of person that when you say, hey, I'm going to the hospital, please pray for me, my prayer is always going to be, Lord, let the doctors find out what's wrong. The reason I want the doctors to find out what's wrong is because then I'll know how to specifically pray for you. Yes, I'm praying for your health. Yes, I'll pray for your mental capability. I'll pray for your financial status, that God will be able to let you pay the doctor bill. But whatever you're going to the doctor for and you don't know, I'm praying that we find an answer. Because nothing is worse to me than going to get help and those who are qualified to help can't. So I pray specifically that the doctors will find something, so that when you report back and say, hey, the doctor found this, or the doctor found that, or this is what's wrong, now I can take that prayer to God. It's focusing on exactly what He wants us to do. God is a prayer answering God, and the Bible says that He's able to do exceeding abundantly above all that we can ask or think. So my challenge for the remainder of the year, as we go into the new year a new way, let us go by intentionally focusing our prayers on what we want God to do. Thank you for listening, and may heaven continue to smile on you. God bless you.